This clearly isn't Sean Connery anymore falling down the pipe, but his stunt double. Pretty much every movie has mistakes in them, whether these are minor continuity mistakes, or visible stunt doubles, or bigger mistakes that went unnoticed by the filmmakers. These things happen when making films, and the Bond movies are no exception. So, following my one Easter egg in every Bond film and one deleted scene in every Bond film videos, we are taking a look at one movie mistake in each of the Bond films. So, let's start. When the guards are patrolling Crab Key and the guy is shouting with his megaphone,
"Okay, folks, come on, you won't get hurt."
The voice somehow sounds just as loud when he's finished talking through his megaphone.
Alright then. We'll be back. We'll be back with the dogs. Full speed ahead.
Especially the early movies often have Bond and his stunt double switch positions as soon as one of them goes behind an object. But in From Russia with Love, after the helicopter chase, this goes wrong and it results in Bond and his stunt double being on screen at the same time, even if this is just for a split second. When Oddjob is about to drive off with Goldfinger in the back seat, Goldfinger isn't actually in the back seat anymore as soon as the car drives off. A mistake that always puzzled me is that when Bond is presented with his gadgets by Q, he receives an infrared camera and a Geiger counter watch.
A Geiger counter. But that's an underwater camera. It takes 8 pictures in rapid succession by pressing that button there.
Is that clever?
But if you can take pictures in the dark with an infrared film, yes.
However, later in the movie, Bond gives the camera to Domino to look for the nukes, and he says that the camera is actually the Geiger counter. It's like the filmmakers forgot what gadget does what. Of course, the early Bond movies often use back projections that haven't aged well, but in You Only Live Twice, it is especially apparent that the car isn't actually being driven, as the speedometer never raises above zero, and all the turns that can be seen in the back projections aren't actually being made in the steering by Aki. The iconic ski chase in Majesties results in Bond almost falling off a cliff, but the safety cable attached to the ankle of the stuntman is clearly visible in this shot. One of the most well-known mistakes is in Diamonds Are Forever, when Bond enters the alley on the right side of the wheels but exits the alley on the wheels of the left side. This is a mistake that was actually noticed by the filmmakers, and they were probably frustrated that they couldn't just mirror the shot of Bond entering the alley or exiting it, because both shots features letters that you couldn't just mirror. So in order to fix this mistake, the filmmakers shoehorned in this shot of Bond switching wheels in the alley. But it's kinda like fixing your car with duct tape. During the airport chase in Live and Let Die, Bond cuts off the wings of the plane. However, later on, when he's talking to Mrs. Bell, the wings have magically returned to the plane. The Man with the Golden Gun also has a well-known mistake. During the fight in the dressing room of The Belly Dancer, the camera crew accidentally becomes visible in the mirror. One of the mistakes I've never really minded but has always puzzled me is in The Spy Who Loved Me, when Roger Moore's Bond makes one of his most badass kills, killing Stromberg dead on with his Walther PPK. He shoots through the barrel under the table. However, beforehand it was revealed that the barrel was actually closed off with an attached gun that Stromberg used before. Yet Bond's bullet hit Stromberg. Shouldn't the bullet just ricochet off the closed gun? When Corinne flees into the forest to run from the dogs that Drax has released upon her, her shoes suddenly change from high heels to running shoes with socks. When Bond takes out Christodoulos' henchman on top of the cliff in For Your Eyes Only, for a brief second you can see the rigging and framework in an actual studio visible in the frame. Octopussy's iconic pre-title sequence with Bond flying the Acrostar is just simply amazing. he flies it straight through a hangar and emerges just in the last second. However, some of the movie magic making this possible is actually visible in the film. As the Acrostar is flying through the hangar, we can see a pole underneath the plane as it's being driven around through the hangar. Luckily, it's very split second and doesn't take away from the amazing sequence. A View to a Kill is filled with several scenes where Roger Moore's stunt doubles are clearly visible. But have you noticed when Paula Ivanova gets to her car, it's not General Gogol that picks her up, but his double. When Bond uses his wheels to create a circle in the ice in The Living Daylights, he's seen creating a huge circle. However, later in a close-up, it is just a tiny one. After Bond receives the lighter from Felix Andela as a present in License to Kill, he uses it and accidentally causes a big flame. Well, it's actually revealed that the big flame is caused by a tube hidden in Bond's suit, connected to the lighter. Unfortunately, the tube was still visible in the film. When Bond and Natalia are trapped in the Tiger helicopter, Bond quickly has to use the ejector button to save his life. He is then saved by 2 white parachutes. However, as the helicopter floats down, all of a sudden the parachutes have changed color to white and red. In Tomorrow Never Dies, it makes zero sense for the helicopter to be leaning forward and float over the ground like that to begin with, but after Bond disables the helicopter and the helicopter crashes into the wall, you can very clearly see the dummies' position in the helicopter. I mean, they're not even holding their hands over their head or nothing. It's really noticeable. The World Is Not Enough features one of the most action-packed, amazing pre-title sequences in the entire series. However, the camera hanging over the Thames probably shouldn't have been visible in this particular shot. When Miranda Frost is fighting with Jinx in Die Another Day, she cuts her stomach with her sword. However, later on, when she's in bed with Bond, all of a sudden the cut in her stomach has completely disappeared. And this is on the same day. The epic end scene in Casino Royale with Bond shooting down Mr. White is one of the best endings in the entire franchise. However, did you notice that Jesper Christensen is wearing knee pads underneath his pants in order to make the fall?
Who is this?
Arguably the most infamous movie mistake in all of Bond is in Quantum of Solace, where the extra in the background is using his broom to sweep the air. Dude isn't even touching the ground. Skyfall has a mistake that was made deliberately in post-production, as Bond is wearing gloves in most of the sequence in Shanghai chasing down Patrice. We can clearly see that Patrice is holding on to the gloves as he's about to fall down. However, the filmmakers remembered that Bond's gun would only fire with his fingerprints, so they had to CGI his gloves out of there in some of the scenes where he's holding the gun in the same sequence, causing a little bit of a continuity error with Bond wearing gloves and then just having bare CGI hands. When Bond and Madeline are having their drinks in the train in Spectre, there seem to be all kinds of passengers present in that carriage. Several people can be spotted, including the barman. However, as soon as Mr. Hinks enters, all of the passengers and the barman seem to have completely magically disappeared. And lastly, in No Time to Die, Blofeld's birthday is revealed to be on the 4th of July 1946. This is very odd because in Spectre he was supposed to be only a few years older than Bond in the childhood picture. He was supposed to be around 16 years old when his father died in around 1985. If he was born in 1946, he definitely would have been 16 in 85. Even if we ignore whether or not his father had died in 85 and we just assume that Blofeld was born in 46, at 16 years old, his father would have died in 1962. In that year, Daniel Craig's Bond wouldn't have even been born yet, so either way, it doesn't add up. So that was one movie mistake in every Bond film. Hopefully I featured a couple that you weren't aware of yet. Of course there were many more movie mistakes to be pointed out within the Bond movies, so feel very free to point them out in the comments. Also feel free to comment on the ones that I pointed out in this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, share and subscribe. And if you want to take the extra step, feel free to support the channel to get a lot of awesome channel rewards. See you guys in the next video.